Senator John McCain may not know how many houses he owns, but he would like you to get off his lawns. All of them. Our number one story in the countdown, even the McCain campaign struggles to count McCain's houses. We're sending a rather off-putting message, John Q. Public, because let's face it, any way you cut this, homes, houses, condos, does Senator McCain really not know? Nope. The reminder from that political interview, how many houses do you and Mrs. McCain have? The senator's answer was, quote, I think I'll have my staff get to you. I can't tell you about that. It's condominiums, except further, I'll have them get to you. 7, 8, 10. Well, he only lives in 4 of them. Plus, there's that parking lot he owns. Difficulty with counting in the single digits runs in the family. The number of half-sisters Cindy McCain has is 2, which would not be a big deal, except that Mrs. McCain usually refers to herself as an only child, according to the Washington Post. And one of the half-sisters has complained about that. Let's turn to, for his first interview with me since October 1978, the legendary comedian Robert Klein, who is currently on a national tour. Welcome.
One house. One. And the mortgage is a little behind, but Trump is taking over.
He's going to aid. It's going
to help me
first
out.
Ed, and then you. Well, that's very nice of
you. That's like the old supermarket gaffe with Bush Sr. It is out of touch.
Are we making too much of this? I mean, haven't all of us at some point forgotten one of the mansions or yachts that we own?
It isn't the wealth part. The New Republic always writes about how Americans really don't want to divide up the wealth. Everyone wants their shot at being rich. Mm-hmm. I really think this is more of a geezer moment. And I, as a bona fide geezer at 66, I'd like to say he's too old to run for president. I don't like the idea of Lieberman whispering in his ear like, Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy. And, the borders between certain Asian states, I think it's important to know. I don't know where all this experience was supposed to have been gained from years of being part of the status quo. And Obama is a great American story. I don't know him. I don't know McCain either. Yeah. And yet they knock it apart, The only saving grace is that American politics was twice as nasty at its beginning.
Absolutely.
Election of 1800, awful things they said about each other.
But then again, some of the things that were said about McCain in 2000 date directly back to things that were said about Thomas Jefferson. So we have that beautiful kind of bastard child thing running through our whole history.
If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. I'm not going to say no fair, which I've heard a little too much of in this campaign. I just, if this were a parliamentary democracy, these people would have been voted out a long time ago. I think it's time for a change, and I wouldn't be partisan anyway.
You made a great point that all the talk about experience and knowledge and knowing the world, wouldn't you think with experience and knowledge you'd know how many homes you own?
Yeah, it's just like he married the richest woman in Arizona. He has his own agenda, and yes, there was a sanctity about him because of his suffering, like Nelson Mandela and Václav Havel, a prisoner subject to torture and all. Okay, I know, but we have a world to run,
right, and it's an answer to everything. It's not just used. A little of that goes a long way and can stop an argument cold. But if you use it every third day, people are going to go, as you just said, I know.
And another thing, Keith, I really think that. Senator Clinton must prove herself. Her husband, I don't know anymore. This guy I was a big fan of, a Rhodes Scholar, brilliant guy, Rhodes Scholar from the waist up. From the waist down, it was a high school equivalency diploma. But you see how he looked, how tough this job is, how he looked at the end of the thing with that W.C. Field nose? Yeah. Probably from his wife going, you stupid idiot, how did you do it? Come with an intern and ruin my chances. Anyway, erudition is of no consequence. Kerry is the one with the shrapnel in his butt,
right?
And he was shamed and had to. The other guy escaped service. There is a kind of Orwellian thing going down, and a war of words. And I just wonder. There was a quote in one of the blogs today where this Pennsylvania Democrat said, "Yes, he's black, but he's a Democrat. Get over it." I think the racial thing is really unspoken. I think we're too embarrassed by it. When 28% of the voters came out of the West Virginia primary and said that race was a real issue for them. That should be an embarrassment in 2008.
This is a test. I mean, this is our test.
Jackie Robinson.
It's been a while.
Morgan Freeman.
And the one and only Robert Klein on a national tour.
Hey, man, you're doing great.
Thank you, sir.